Well, I just want to welcome everyone to our first CCAP virtual holiday gathering. I'm Sam. I'm chair of the CCAP Junior Board, and we're gathered here today to celebrate the holidays and learn how to whip up some new holiday favorite drinks and delights and raise some money for CCAP. For those new to CCAP, Careers Through Culinary Arts program is a workforce development nonprofit that provides underserved teens a pathway to jobs. CCAP provides culinary, job, and life skills to over 15,000 middle and high school kids in 6 cities and regions across the US. This 30-year-old nonprofit strives to help further food and social justice, equity and inclusion by providing the tools for success. Besides providing culinary and wellness curriculum and partnerships, their integrated approach to employment in the food sector includes internships and apprenticeships and work opportunities, industry mentoring, college and career advising, and scholarships, along with donating product and food to those who need. Today, we will be hitting 4 of our 6 CCAP locations, and we're going to start off by heading to our first CCAP alum and location in New York. Just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And also in the chat, you'll see ways to donate. You can text CCAP to 44321 or go to the link and donate, also the link you registered with. So first up, we are mixing some tasty craft tales shown to us by CCAP alum Linda Garcia. She is the owner of Endless Paradise Cocktail Mixers that is delivering throughout New York City. And she has a YouTube channel called Rhum Education. And she's coming to us from Fats Duval's Rum Cafe in New York City, where she is the head bartender. So I want to say cheers, and Linda, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So yes, I'm Linda Garcia, and CCAP's summer internship program helped me obtain my first restaurant job opportunity at Gramercy Tavern. I'm really passionate about making sure deserving kids have the opportunity in the food and beverage industry and are given the tools to succeed. So the first cocktail I'm going to start off with is the Año Nuevo. Whenever we greet the new year, it's always with some bubbly. So I've done a little spritz for you all. So in this spritz, you can use whatever spirit you prefer. I'm going to use Dorothy Parker gin because it's a gin not only infused with juniper berries, but also hibiscus petals, which I think that those flavor notes will complement the sparkling apple pomegranate cider that I have here. So we're going to start off by adding some ice to our glass. That way the ingredients chill as we're building the cocktail. So we're going to do 2 ounces of the gin. And then we're going to do some fresh squeezed lime juice. I always say fresh is best. So 1/2 ounce to balance the sweetness in this cocktail. And then I have some fresh ginger juice. So if you have a food processor, you can just pass the ginger through there. If not, you can always add some water and some fresh ginger to your blender. So 1/2 ounce of the ginger juice. And then we're gonna top off our cocktail with just some of the cider. There we go. And then I have a rosemary sprig here that you can either slap to release the aromas like you would with mint, or if you want even more aromatics, because cocktails aren't just about your palate, it's also a sensory experience through the aromatics. So we're just gonna torch it a little bit. And now everyone's home will start smelling like rosemary. Cheers, everyone. So that's the first cocktail, very easy. The next cocktail I'm gonna make is a coquito variation. So coquito is like the Latin variation of eggnog without the egg. It's typically with coconut milk, evaporated milk, also coconut cream, and some condensed milk. So I've done a variation where I've infused pistachios in there. And I have my pre-prepped glass right here to make it a little more festive, a white chocolate rim dyed with some red food coloring. So white chocolate, coconut, also all great flavors with pistachio. With the ingredients, I just blended everything together and then added it to a pan on a pot on the stove top, so the heat could help infuse and release more of the pistachio flavor. Shake that up. And then I'm gonna do 3 ounces of the coquito mix. There we go. And then you could choose to do, I recommend a coquito with rum. Again, you could play around with different spirits. I've decided to go with a lightly aged rum. One important thing to note about rum is that just because a rum it has color doesn't mean it's really been aged. It could just be caramel coloring. And just because a rum is clear colored doesn't mean it hasn't been aged. In this case, I'm using Brugal, which has been aged 2 to 5 years, has notes of coffee, vanilla, coconut. And the only reason it's clear is because it's been charcoal filtered to have a cleaner, smoother flavor. So we're gonna do 1.5 ounces Brugal.
Linda, what is the origin of coquito?
Puerto Rico. Just give it a little stir right there. And then I have some coconut flakes to kind of represent snow. So just add that on top. And now you have How the Grinch Stole Coquito. Yeah, the Brugal in this is nice. And the great thing about coquito is you can also have it without the alcohol. So kids can enjoy it too for the holidays. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Linda, those look delicious and so festive. I definitely want to try them, and great tip on how to make ginger juice. Mom, you're watching, I would like some of that. So next up, we're headed to Philadelphia to learn how to make a spicy squash soup from CCAP alum Chef Sylva Senat. Top chef star Senat, worked at Aquavit, Jean-Georges 66, Leonard Street, Mercer Kitchen, and then Budicon. He's a French-speaking Haitian native. Sylva entered the Daniel Boulud CCAP scholarship competition and won an all expenses paid trip to France to study at the Paul Bocuse Institute in Lyon. He is currently the executive chef at the Pyramid Club in Philadelphia. Sylva, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, I love that. I love the last recipe. So one of my favorites is Haitian. So you might want to cheat a little bit. Haitian rum, okay? Bubble cord, it's called. That I love coquitos. So that was a beautiful recipe. So for us here today, I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes. It is a winter butternut squash soup. And then we finish with a Haitian hot honey. So I'm gonna make the Haitian hot honey really quick and show you guys. So I have just regular maple honey here, clover honey. We have dehydrated Scotch bonnet peppers. So you can use fresh ones. So remember, the seeds of the Scotch bonnets is what's really spicy. So if you don't want it too spicy, all you have to do is remove the seeds from inside the pepper itself. So then you just have to shake it. I like these because they're dehydrated. I always buy too much Scotch bonnets, so I dehydrate mine when I have too much. So I'm just gonna throw some in here. And I'm gonna add a little smoked paprika, and that's just gonna give it a little color. So that's gonna give it a little color. So we're gonna put this here. So honey, Scotch bonnet peppers, and smoked paprika, And then we're just gonna put this on the side. We're gonna let it rest. And that is perfect and ready to go. I would suggest just putting it in a mason jar and it will last you forever. So to start with a butternut squash soup, we start with veg stock. So veg stock is basically onions, carrots, and celery that we simmer with cold water for about 2 hours. And then that's gonna give you this big, beautiful veg stock. I always throw some fresh thyme in it. The best idea is to tie it with a string so it's easier to remove when the time comes. And all the flavor is gonna be there, but this is gonna be a lot easier to just poke it out when you wanna strain your stock. So over here in my large pot, I wanna start off with all the ingredients that we have for the soup. So we have 4 ounces of olive oil. And then we're gonna start with the onions. And all these are just diced. They don't have to be perfect because remember, you're gonna puree the soup. So it's, you want medium to large dices because you want everything to be about the same size when you cook it. So then you have a uniform cooking when it comes to soup. So onions, oh, I hope you guys can hear that sizzle. Celery, carrots, and we're gonna add a little potatoes, and the potato is gonna give it thickness, and it's also gonna add a little starch to the soup.
Sylva, we have a question. For the Haitian honey, would you recommend keeping it in the fridge or the pantry once it's made?
With the honey, you know, so I dehydrate my peppers so I can leave it outside in the pantry. So that's, for me, I leave it outside in the pantry. So if you were to use fresh Scotch bonnets, when it comes to honey, it just gets so thick, and sometimes putting it in the fridge is a little, it's just too hard and you can't get it out. So I would just leave it in the pantry.
Room temperature. And should you use gloves when you're removing those seeds?
The seeds, yes, of course. So they do get really spicy. They're up there in the Scoville, level when you're thinking about peppers. So definitely use gloves. These are dehydrated. Again, I like spicy. So I tend to add one more than everybody else. But so I want to show you on the other camera here. So this is what I have with all the stuff. And then slowly I want to add my white spice. My white spice powder is going to give it that nice earthy
Sylva, can you turn the camera? I think are we looking at?
Oh,
there it is. There it is.
I had a dual camera. You can just.
I see it now. If you look at Sandra Senat, you can see the spotlight. See,
oh, nice. Okay.
See the sizzle. I just want for everyone watching.
Okay, there you go. So over here we have the stock, right? So I'm gonna just bring it to you a little bit. So you want this is what you got is looking for, right? It's a nice color. And you want to smell everything. So you want to smell everything right before you add your veg stock. And we're gonna add our veg stock. We add our squash. And now we're gonna let that steam. You're gonna cook it for about 20 minutes until everything is nice and soft. And then you're gonna take it in batches and blend it in a blender. Or you can just use a hand blender. One of my favorites is use a hand blender. And at this point, if you wanna keep it completely vegetarian, just leave it as is. If not, you can add a little cream and a little butter to just make it a little rich, a little creamier, but you don't have to, only if you don't want it to be vegetarian. So after this is cooked about 20 minutes, we're gonna blend it. And then I'm gonna take you to here where we're gonna plate this dish, and I'll show you what we're gonna do with the Haitian hot honey.
And if we don't have Haitian hot honey, can we use another hot honey? Maybe like a Mike's hot honey?
Oh yeah, I love
in a pan.
Hot honey is just you making your own honey at home. So if you just buy honey and buy a Scotch bonnet and a little smoked paprika, you can just use it. You can just use regular honey if you don't want the heat. It is a perfect substitute. And Mike's hot honey too. I like Mike. So over here, so I had soup on. nice and hot, right? To the magic of television is what we always say, right? And over here, I have my plate, so I'll show you guys. So this is what you end up with.
Looks delicious.
Right? When you look at the soup. So it's nice, it's creamy, it's thick. This one is, I'm gonna add a spoonful of butter. And this one's no longer vegetarian because I'm adding cream to it. And you're gonna see the color change and the richness. So it kind of brings it together. I wanted you guys to kind of see the difference between the two soups, right? So it's gonna look like this when you puree it. After you puree it, it's gonna be something like this, nice and thick. And then this is us making it hot, adding a little butter, adding a little cream, all right? And I'm gonna put this right here. It's gonna be our soup. And of course, when you're entertaining at home and, always have fun. Have fun with the presentation, have fun with the plating, have fun with the setting, right? We do all this work, we slave in the kitchen, and then when it comes time, we just put it on the table. I'm very against that as a chef. So I want you guys to have fun with it. I want you to go all out, put the tablecloth out, and something as easy as sliced bread, right? You're gonna put right here. I'm gonna flip it so it can kind of carries everything, right? And then what I have here is a couple of leaves of kale, just a little green and red kale. It's little simple things. And these are chili threads that you can find at like your Thai Asian market.
What kind of threads are they?
They're chili threads. So they're strands of like Thai long chilies. They're not really spicy, but they just are really, really nice. And they're just thinly sliced pepper string.
More for looks than taste.
And so your Scotch bonnet Haitian hot honey, you made at home, right? And this is perfect. This is a perfect conversation piece. So when when someone comes over and you want to give them something sweet but spicy at the same time, you can use as much or as little as you like. I prefer just putting a little on the spoon of the soup, right? And then explaining the whole honey that you made yourself to your guests, and then having them stir the soup. So this is our soup presentation. So imagine your nice hot soup, your wonderful bowl, and then you explain, hey, there's honey in the spoon. So all you have to do is stir your soup, and the honey is gonna melt into the soup. And the very first bite will be sweeter than the second, but it will be very enjoyable. All right, so this is our butternut winter squash soup. And I hope you guys have fun. Happy holidays. Thank you for supporting CCAP and everything that CCAP does. CCAP is vital to me as a chef, to my history and my career. They introduced me to Marcus Samuelson at Quivite, which was my first job. And then, I got introduced to Jean-Georges and went to Daniel Boulou and ended up in France at Paul Bocuse. And, it really allows me to be the chef that I am today. So please, thank you again for your support at CCAP. And again, this recipe is nice, fun, and easy, and we would love for you guys to try it. If you have any questions, just let us know, and we'll feel free to answer them. So enjoy, guys, I hope, and happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Chef Sylva. That soup looks delicious, and the hot honey looked amazing. Now we've got our soup out of the way, we can move on to dessert. So now I want to introduce Mykel Winterstine. Mykel is a 1994 CCAP graduate and a CIA graduate with a pastry certification. She is currently the captain and pastry chef at the Punjab Grill in Washington, D.C. She has worked at Volt, the Metropolitan Club, Gaylord Entertainment, and the Four Seasons Hotel, all in D.C. She works front of the house and back of the house. She creates a dessert, executes it, and then serves it along with a wine recommendation. So sounds like quite the combination there. And she's coming live to us from DC. So welcome, Mykel. Are you on mute? Oh, there we go.
My husband's holding my phone. 1 second. Technical difficulties. One moment. Okay.
No.
Okay, so thank you so much for being here and supporting CCAP. It's a great cause, really near and dear to my heart. Tonight, I'm going to show you how I make my chocolate satin tart. So first thing we need to do is preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Next, we're going to have some chocolate cookies. No brand names here, just chocolate cookies. Put them in the food processor, pulverize those. I added some melted butter to them. And grab my pan. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do half of it for you. Let me just zoom you in. All right. Perfect. Okay, so now this recipe calls for 2 cups of crumbs with butter. You're going to use the whole amount. We're just going to put all of these in, except I'm not. I'm just going to do a little bit of it. And then I like to use something with straight sides. So glass, top of a spray can, whatever, as long as it's nice and straight. So I'm just going to press this, and you want it to go up the sides. And basically, as I'm going around, I'm going to take my finger and kind of make sure it doesn't come up all the way out of the tart pan. So once it's nice, even, you've got nice flush sides, you're going to bake that for about 6-7 minutes, just until it's nice and crisp. And then we're going to set that aside, and you let it cool completely before making your filling, before putting your filling in, rather. So I already have one done. So I'm just going to put that over here. The filling, I've got a cup of milk chocolate and a cup of semi-sweet chocolate. You want to use a really good quality chocolate. I like, this is Ghirardelli. You can buy this in the grocery store. Already chopped up for you. You don't have to chop any chocolate. So we've got all of that here. And then I've heated a cup of heavy cream and some butter. We love butter in pastry. So I didn't bring it to a boil, I just brought it to a simmer. So I'm going to pour this over the chocolate. You're going to kind of let that sit for just a second, just kind of absorb the cream. Actually let the cream kind of melt the chocolate. Got a spatula, gently move this around until it's smooth. If your cream isn't quite hot enough or you see some chunks of chocolate, you can always pop this in the microwave, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing right now. Because the cream wasn't quite hot enough. So, one moment, please. We also love microwaves because they are pastry chefs' best friend. Best friend. So while that is warming, I'm going to grab a whisk also. So this tart is basically a blank canvas. There's so much you can do to it to make it your own. You can add, you can put a layer of salted caramel down on the shell before you put the filling in. You can add some different oils, like flavored oils. Orange oil is great. Anything pretty much goes with chocolate. Okay, I'm going to switch over to a whisk. Get all of that off. And I might be hitting that microwave again. We shall see. I think I might have gone a little bit too far ahead because I love to talk. Didn't want to run out of time. Let's see. Got a little bit of chunks here. So I'm going to just pop it in. It's almost there. Just pop that back in for a second or two. Right. That does it. So I'm just going to stir this until it's smooth. Now, using a whisk is going to add some air bubbles to it, but I've got a little trick to get those pesky air bubbles out of the way.
What happens if there are air bubbles in there?
I've got a little torch. I'm just going to torch the top of it, and I'm going to show you. I've got lots of bubbles in here right now on purpose, just so I can show you. All right. If there are children around, this is the time when they come over and they want to like lick the whisk, get in your way, eat the chocolate.
Just children?
Yeah, my husband's standing by as well. The spatula. Okay, I'm going to pour this in. It's nice and smooth. In we go. So this, you can make this like 3 days in advance if you wanted to. It's so easy to do. You can also freeze it if you want to. Just wrap it up tightly.
If you were to freeze it, would you eat it frozen or would you defrost it?
I would defrost it. I just think ganache tastes so much better when it's room temperature, and that's how this one's going to be served or chowed down by my children. All right, let's see if you can do a little torch. I'm just going to go over all of these little bubbles. You can also do this when you take it right out of the fridge at first and you want that sheen to come back. Do the same thing with it. Just run a torch over it. I've also got one of those big, huge ones, but I thought I'd save that. Let's see. All right, so this is going to go into the fridge for about, say about 2 hours before you can cut it. Give it a little tap. And I've got one already done, so I'm going to go ahead and I see a child standing by.
Ooh, they get 2 out of this.
Mm-hmm. Then let's see, where's my brush? And I'm just going to use, for my plate up, I'm just going to kind of take what's left in here, little ganache, and just kind of put that on the plate like so. Right, I've got my tart.
Beautiful.
But wait, there's more. Hold on. Got some whipped cream. You can do ice cream. Let's see. Some hot water. Okay. So I'm just going to do, again, you can flavor your whipped cream if you want. You can do any kind of ice cream.
Beautiful.
But wait, there's still more. Hold on. Sometimes people have to take things out of my hand. Like, no, Mykel, enough. It's good. So now I'm going to grate a little bit of chocolate on top.
And is that just a zester?
I'm sorry?
Is that just a zester to grate the chocolate?
Yeah, it's this one is actually, it's just a microplane, but this one's got the little spaces are a little bit further apart.
Oh.
So you can get, it's really for a big block of chocolate. I've got this little skinny bar that I'll probably eat later because I love chocolate. All right, I think, is there anybody who wanted to try this? No? No one? All right, I'm gonna eat it myself. There he is. There he is. All right,
Thank you
Max.
so much for volunteering for this.
I had to twist his arm.
Huge
I had to twist his arm.
responsibility.
Okay, you ready? Ready? Yeah, I don't think so. All right, in you go. And I think I have to try this. I have to. So good.
It looks delicious.
Oh my God. Move out of the way, sweetie. Hold on. This is my happy face. This is so good. You have to try this. You guys must try this.
What wine would you pair with it?
What's that?
What wine would you pair with it?
I would do that's hard. I would do a tawny port though. Tawny port just brings out the flavor of chocolate. You can even do a ruby port too if you want it, but I would go straight for the tawny port. Definitely. It's got nice caramel flavors. So good.
It looks amazing.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. That really looks so amazing. I'm jealous of Mykel's farm. I get to taste it. And so now we move on to our final recipe of the night. We are going to Jasmin Smith in Phoenix. Jasmin graduated from CCAP in 2009. She was awarded a scholarship that helped her obtain a culinary degree and pastry certificate from Estrella Mountain Community College. She has worked in pastry at the Andaz Scottsdale and Hyatt Gainey Ranch hotels, the El Churro restaurant, and for catering event venues. She established Süß Pastries in 2018. Süß means sweet in German, which is a nod to her German grandmother and heritage. They focus on Sonoran flavors and ingredients, and their signature item is an artisanal Pop-Tart. This sounds more elegant than my childhood favorite. So Jasmin, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey Sam, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining us. I know we're all super excited to be a part of this and thankful for all the opportunities that CCAP has provided for us. So like Sam said, I am going to be making an artisanal Pop-Tart. If we go over here, I already started making my blueberry filling. So I have our blueberries, sugar, there's a little bit of lime juice in here that's just been simmering. And I got our cornstarch slurry ready. So you're just mixing some water in here just to make sure there's no big clumps. And you'll be adding this to your blueberries. And just stream it in to avoid any clumpage happening. And that'll keep simmering. You'll probably want to give this 2 minutes. It shouldn't take too long. You just want it to thicken up, and you can already see it starting to thicken pretty fast. And this is about the texture you're looking for, maybe a little bit thicker. But yeah, so you can kind of see it's like clumpier, kind of like a pie filling. And I'll just keep stirring that. As it thickens, you want to keep stirring just because you don't want it to burn on the bottom. And we'll be good. So then we will go ahead and put this in a bowl. I will let this cool. And as that's cooling, you can start making your Pop-Tart dough. So I'll just leave that there. We'll come back over here. So I have my flour, I have a little bit of sugar, salt. This is the butter. I always dice it up into small cubes. That just helps the mixer work a little bit less because, I mean, our KitchenAids are pretty precious. And you want to make sure your butter's cold. So the biggest thing with making a good like pie dough, because that's what I use for my Pop-Tarts, is making sure your ingredients are cold. So with the butter and as well as the water that you're going to add in here, I even added some ice cubes to make sure that it stays that way. So I went ahead and started mixing this beforehand. And as you can see, I can kind of, this is what you're looking for. So it's pea-sized. You can't even, it's like you can almost not even tell that there's butter in here. But that's just so the crust bakes nice and even. The bigger the chunks of butter in there, the flakier the crust will be, which is good, but that's also what causes those steam bubbles in there. And we don't want that in artisanal Pop-Tarts. So I'm gonna just go ahead and mix that in.
Jasmine, if you don't have a mixer, what can you use to mix the dough?
So the best thing you can do is you can use like a pastry blender, like you see that if you're making like biscuits, or even if you want to do like you could do 2 forks, but ideally as long as you cut your butter super small, and then you could even knead it in by hand. But the idea when you're cutting the butter in is that it's cutting into the dough. So it's getting evenly distributed within all the flour. So this is my dough. And we're just gonna go ahead and roll this out. All right.
That looked easy enough.
And I mean, the cool thing with these is that it's basically like almost like a miniature hand pie and an excuse to eat it for breakfast. You can use almost any type of fruit filling. I mean, I've done strawberries, peaches, I've done like sweet potato, pumpkin. So you can really get creative with it and I mean, kind of do whatever floats your boat. So I dusted my workstation and I'm just gonna roll this out. My dough is a little soft, that's why I use so much flour, so it's just gonna soak that right up. My rolling pin is of the miniature version. That's okay.
How many Pop-Tarts do you make? I don't know, a day, a week? How many Pop-Tarts are you turning out?
A lot. Like, so I'm still at the beginning of my business. And I mean, I've been really lucky, especially with the pandemic, that I have like wholesale clients that have stayed like super steady and supportive. So yeah, I mean, in a week, like it's just me and I have one person that helps part-time. She comes in like one day. We probably do like 300 Pop-Tarts like in a week. So it's not like, I mean, you know, like if you're a home baker, that sounds pretty massive, but it could be more.
And is blueberry is this the favorite, the most popular?
So this is my personal favorite. I really love, like, I'm not a huge fan of blueberries, but when you have like the lime juice with it, it just kind of makes it makes the blueberry come to life in a way. And I have one flavor that's super popular. It's a raspberry prickly pear. So that's probably the most favorite flavor, but I try to do seasonal ones too. Like I just did a cranberry marshmallow, which that one went over really well. But yeah, so it's fun. Like you can literally do almost anything. I mean, that's what's so cool about it. And I've done like savory ones too. So I have a 4x4 inch cookie cutter. I just cut my squares out. You could use a circle cookie cutter. If you want to do like different shapes, you could do like a star. The crimping might be a little bit of a pain if you do like a crazy shape like that. That's why like the nice even lines are kind of ideal. But yeah, it's really up to you. So this is kind of the thickness that we're looking at. It's probably like maybe 2/4 like stacked on top of each other. I feel like that's like easier for me to understand than like 1/8 an inch or whatever, but yeah. So I'm gonna put this over here and I'm gonna wash my hands real quick.
Yeah, I need to grab some of those food to turn the bed.
If everyone still has their drink, now is a great cheers intermission.
Oh, is she drinking?
Chef Sylva's gonna join us.
All right, I'm back. So this is my pre-made pie dough. It's chilled a little bit, so this will be easier to work with. I also have egg wash, and this is just equal parts egg, and you could use water. I like to use milk, but I'm just gonna brush my edges. And I'm not being like super precise. This isn't something you have to like be super delicate with. Just brush your edges, make sure that there's a good amount on there because that's gonna act as your glue. And once the blueberry filling or whatever fruit filling you decide to do is all cool, this is the thickness that you're looking at. So it does thicken up a lot more as the temperature goes down. I have this handy dandy scoop for consistency, but of course you can use like a tablespoon or your hands, whatever. And I just put that right here in the center. And as you can see, I'm leaving room here so that way my second piece of dough can connect to the bottom layer and it'll seal easily. All right. So I just place this right on top. I'm using my fingers to seal the edges, pressing that down. And then I like to use a fork, and that just gets pressed down again. So this is really connecting the two, merging them, and making sure that they don't pop open as they bake. And a nice thing too is when you're using the fork, you can kind of measure. I like to go like about half the fork length in, and then I slide out. And then just to make it look a little cleaner, I use my cookie cutter again and go along the top. And then that is your Pop-Tart. So I can do one more real quick. Yeah, and I think the cool thing is it's like you can have this for breakfast. You could do, I mean, you could definitely even do this for dessert, serve some ice cream with it. For Thanksgiving, I did some apple caramel ones. And we like, after they baked, I filled them with a tres leches. So that was delicious.
Do you usually serve them hot or cold or room temperature?
I usually do room temp just because like I serve them as a goal for breakfast because it's I mean, it should hit that like nostalgic Pop-Tart vibe. But you can definitely warm them up. I know like I've had a few people, they're like, you can't fit this in a toaster because they're like that. But you can stick them in the microwave for like 10 seconds. It doesn't really take that long, or you can even put them in a toaster oven or oven. So once you have these all done, I have baking pan, parchment paper, and I would just put these on here. And I like to use scissors just to poke my air vents. And we'll egg wash these. That's gonna help give it a nice even browning color on top. And when you bake this, if you have a convection oven, if you can turn on your fan, that's ideal. But if you don't, it's okay. I don't have one here, but it just helps with the browning. So that way it's a little bit more even. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. And throw those suckers in the oven. I'll just grab this. I have one ready. And ignore my dirty station. I would usually clean this beforehand. But, so the frosting's super easy to make. It really takes no type of like finesse at all. You're just gonna add your powdered sugar. You can add some vanilla in there. I like to add a pinch of salt just because I'm a salt person. And then like for these, I like to add a little bit of lime juice. You don't have to, I mean, you could just do straight up vanilla. But yeah, oh, and then meringue powder. So that's just gonna help it dry quicker and stabilize it. So it's a makeshift royal icing, but instead of using raw egg whites, I like to use the meringue powder. But you also like, if you make the frosting ahead of time, you'll wanna cover it because if it's exposed to air, it will begin to dry. And you can mix it in, but those like that dry layer, when you mix it in, it kind of like creates these weird chunks in there. So we don't want that. And I mean, this is cool too. It's like you can make the Pop-Tarts ahead of time, have your frosting, and then you can have like a family Christmas decorating Pop-Tart party. So you can have like Christmas sprinkles and different colors.
Jasmine, did you say lime juice instead of vanilla extract for the icing?
Yeah, so for these specific ones, I like to add lime juice just because it adds like extra zing to it. But you don't have to. You really just want to make sure that, so I don't think I mentioned it now that I think about it, but you add water to the powdered sugar. So it's powdered sugar, meringue powder, whatever flavoring. So if you want to do vanilla or lime juice, orange juice, whatever. And then you'll use water as like the main source to bind everything together. So if you do add like orange juice or lime juice, it's really just a squeeze as a replacement of the vanilla. So I added my frosting. I love to decorate and garnish things with whatever's in the food. So I'm not gonna put blueberries on here, but I can put lime zest. So I got my handy dandy zester. And when I zest, like I love to have this part that catches all the zest facing up so I can actually see where I'm zesting. And then I can kind of see how much I have. And there we go. That is that. I would usually let this harden a little bit. So I'm just gonna break this sucker open.
Big reveal.
You can see all the filling. And I guess I'll take a bite. Yep, delicious. All right, so that's it. That's a Pop-Tart. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. Oh my gosh, those look delicious. I am so happy I did not eat dinner before because I'm so hungry now. I guess I want to see, does anyone have any questions? We have a few minutes if anyone wants to put them in the chat, or go off mute and, we can do them live. No pressure. I do want to say, if you do, maybe Natalie, if you could re-put in the link and the text, if you want to donate, these are 4 amazing CCAP alums from 4 different locations. CCAP is across the US, and I just, I talked about what they do for their students and how they help their 15,000 students succeed, but they also work with their alums and provide a network for them through life. So I guess just really quickly, if all our chefs are still on, if you could do really quick, what does CCAP mean to you? Jasmin, Mykel, Sylva, or Linda, are you still there? Mykel, if you want to go off mute.
Okay. So I graduated in 1994. Okay, that's like almost at the beginning. And Richard Grousman and I still talk. When he says he keeps in touch with everyone, he means it. And if you don't give him updates, he will find you and he will make you give him an update. The networking is key. Whenever someone new moves into an area, let's say someone moves into DC and he'll say, here, Mykel, this is Jasmin. Why don't you, get together and, talk. I can mentor someone. It's just a great cause. I love it. And I love Mr. Grousman. Love him. I love him.
Thank you, Mykel. Jasmin, do you have something to add? What does CCAP mean to you?
Hey, yeah. So I think for me, the biggest thing has just been the tremendous support. Like Mykel was saying, Mr. Grossman's amazing. It blows my mind though, like how he could remember each person, and there's like the connection with him. But yeah, our Phoenix mentor, Jill, she's been so, fundamental in all the connections and all the career steps I've made. So yeah, it's just really great to have that type of support.
Chef Sylva, thank you, Jasmin. Chef Sylva.
CCAP has meant so much to me. So I graduated a little later, like around 97. So for New York, we were one of the first few. And, Richard does keep in touch. He does hunt you down. You're right. He introduced us. I moved from Puerto Rico to Philadelphia from New York. And every single time I got a phone call. So it was amazing. So right now I actually mentor 3 CCAP students in my kitchen. And my kitchen is a private club. So it's not like, everyone knows about it, but I got the phone call and it was like, oh, I heard you started a new job. And then there's definitely mentoring that needs to be done. So I've had young students in my kitchen, in my last 3 kitchens, and they've been amazing. So it's a great network. It's a great organization. And, we do keep in touch. Like we said, once you're in CCAP for life. And it is true, but it is all the amazing French benefits that we look for as a chef.
Amazing, thank you. And Linda, I'll put you on the spot.
Hi, yeah. So I definitely, one of my most memorable experiences with CCAP was job training. Christine was really helpful with job training, giving it resume building and tips. Like I had said earlier, I gained my first restaurant opportunity at Gramercy Tavern in the pastry department. So even though now I'm doing cocktailing, it was just great having that experience. I went on to Johnson Wales, where I had the mixology course. So I just love that, it brought all the worlds together. I took a sommelier minor. So just the layering of flavors when it comes to cocktails, similar to pastry. I love incorporating wine, like port as well. In my cocktails, I love using sherry, but it also keeps up with the fast pace during service that you have in back of the house. So yeah, even though I'm doing cocktails now, I appreciate so much the opportunities I've had.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. Jasmin, I did get one question. Do you ship your Pop-Tarts?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you shipping your Pop-Tarts or do you have to be in Phoenix?
I'm working on the shipping process. Sorry, I was cleaning up, but yeah, the frosting is a little bit delicate, and just because the filling in there has so much moisture, it's not really the most ideal thing as far as like an extended shelf life. But yeah, if you're ever in Phoenix, I'm here. So the Pop-Tarts.
All right, everyone has to make a trip.
Hey guys, this is Deborah Grousman. I just wanted to say my dad tried to sign on, but he's having internet issues. But all of your shout outs to him, you know, he loves you guys, and he'll, I'm sure, be able to watch the recording. There was also a question, Sam, that will the recording be available and it be
Yeah.
emailed out to people?
Yes, I was just trying to find out. I think the recording will be sent out afterwards, as well as all the recipes were shared, but I will reshare them and where everyone is working.
And also maybe like Instagram handles can be either put in the chat or sent out as follow-up so that we can follow all the chefs.
Yes.
And yeah.
Follow CCAP on Instagram, and they've tagged all the chefs in their latest post, but also I think in a follow-up we'll definitely share their contact info so you can follow them. And if you're in New York, Linda delivers her cocktails, and she's at Fat Duval's Rum Cafe now. Let me see, am I missing any other questions? Oh, Jasmine's corn cookies are the best cookie I've ever had. I think that's it. Well, we kept it to an hour. I want to thank everyone so much for following along. Thank you to our amazing alums. Thank you to the CCAP staff and to everyone for putting this together. We hope to be having more virtual, unfortunately virtual, hopefully in person soon, but hope to have more virtual events in the new year. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for all these holiday themed recipes. They all look amazing, and we loved having you. We look forward to seeing you in 2021. Thank you.
I wanted to say one other thing, Sam. This was a fantastic event. It's Deborah Grousman again. Sorry, I don't have my camera on. But my friends who are watching it also, my text is going off. This was so great. Thanks for letting us know about this event. The graduates are amazing. So really well done to everyone. I loved watching everything too. So congratulations.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye, guys.
It was great.